Growing up in Iowa was a special experience. Looking back on it, we lived in a small town where you didn't lock your doors and you could just get out and get on a bicycle, and there were very few worries. I don't know what it had to do with preparing me for what I'm doing now, but it was a pleasurable experience. I had a very attractive French professor when I was a sophomore in college, and we used to hang around after class, a bunch of us guys, and she encouraged me to go to France. And it just so happened the very first fellow student that I met was this little girl named Camille Johnson from Shreveport, Louisiana.
So I walked in, and the first person I saw was Chuck. And he was obviously an American, big, red beard, long shaggy hair.
Oh, it was love at first sight, and the rest is history. When I did move to Shreveport, and Camille and I were married, and my in-laws' friends couldn't remember if I was from Iowa or Utah or Ohio. They just knew it was one of those four-letter words, and one very special friend referred to me forever as Utah Chuck because she couldn't remember where I had come from.
As a family man, when you see Chuck with his children, you know they genuinely love their dad. Their conversations are easy. They laugh often, and he talks about them all the time. Camille is his strength. They've been together a long, long time, and when you see them together, you know the spark is still there, just like it was when they first met.
Our 4 children were born in Baton Rouge. We lived there for 10 years. Moved back to Shreveport, which is my hometown.
That's a humbling experience, is being a parent. Back in our day, they didn't really have classes. All we were able to do was to observe our parents. I'll never forget those days when those kids were born. Those are some of the most joyous experiences of my life, and now having a grandchild and soon to be a grandson and soon to be a second grandchild, there's nothing like that. I love being pops.
I just always think of Dad, if it's not a classic story, so be it, but Dad always getting out the atlas. He loved the atlas. I think he tried to look at it sometimes while he's driving. I don't know if Mom liked it very much. Him and stopping at rest stops to exercise and long trips. It was kind of Griswoldish, family vacations. We were driving a lot. It was hot through the Midwest and other parts, but that was always very fun.
When we talk about family vacations, I think of caves. I suffer from claustrophobia, and I'll be darned if Camille and those kids, all they wanted to do was visit caves. We've been to Mark Twain's cave and Spook Cave, and we've been to, I think, every cave between here and one of those four-letter words, Utah, Iowa, Ohio, you name it. We love caves. I had a wonderful job, but a friend who was my colleague with the state, he took an early retirement and went to work for Volunteers of America, and when this job opened up, he encouraged me at least to take a look at it.
I've been able to see him at his best when he's really excited, and sometimes when things aren't going so well and you've got programs that are in trouble and you've got to do something to save them. And I like the way he surrounds himself with people and encourage you to give him your advice.
He really believes in the mission of Volunteers of America, and he lives it out in his life. And I think people know that. People can see that he cares.
Dad can really take the lead, and he's very balanced, like we said. He just devotes his time well, You know, he's very serious about his work, and his passion, I think, he just strives to do, you know, great work. He does it every day. He's consistent. He's just the same every day.
We know that he does a lot of good work and has a big heart. On the other side, though, he understands the reality of business, understands the numbers, and can make a tough decision. And he has the judgment to balance those two things together. And I think that's a rare combination. And I'd say Chuck Meehan is a balanced leader.
To me, is what he always advocates, and he really is a servant leader. He doesn't look on himself as more important than anybody else in the organization.
One of my favorite stories is a young man who I knew when I worked for the state, and now he's a client of Volunteers of America and continues to be. And he told me one day that he had seen me on television, and it was the ad that we run encouraging people to consider donating their vehicle to Volunteers of America to help us to raise money. And he said, "Mr. Chuck, I saw you." He said, "What are you trying to do? Get people to give you their cars?" And I said, "That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I am so proud of you that you understood what the message was." And he said, "You know, Mr. Chuck, you're good, and you have a big belly."
Something I've noticed about Chuck that I wanted to share with everybody is that, you know, he likes to kid around a lot. And when he does, occasionally he'll get himself into an embarrassing situation. And, you know, he's got that light skin and that light colored hair, and when he gets embarrassed, he turns beet red. So if you'll turn and look at him right now, I know he's sitting there beet red listening to this.
One of the, I think the blessings is to have organizations like Junior Achievement. I would tell kids to take advantage of those opportunities. The opportunities are out there.
Yeah, I think you're an influence by your example, and I think he is a great example because I think when people meet Chuck, they're drawn to him. And I think when young people are around him, they see somebody that they say, that's somebody I'd like to be like. And then when they think about what he does and what he accomplishes, I think that's got to inspire them. It certainly does me, and I know it will other people too.
One of the things that he does better than anybody else is if you do something good that helps the Volunteers of America, you can almost guarantee that you're going to get a personal, handwritten note from Chuck Meehan expressing how much he thanks you for what you've done. Not for him, not for the workers, but for the people that he serves.
He'll do anything,
Yeah, he will.
you know,
He
for
will.
all of us, I guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, with them, he's always mowing the lawn and edging. He loves to edge. That's what you should know about him.
He does love to edge.
And he likes to walk around the neighborhood and admire other people's edging when he helps me walk my dog.
I think, I mean, you know, he just is himself all the time, and I think that people respond to that because he's not ever, I don't know, kind of trying to be somebody he's not.
What a Catholic priest said, you know, to a group of men one time, and I was a part of that group. He said, you know, people talk about having a strong spiritual life. He said, you know, your spiritual life is your life.
That's one of those questions that's hard to put into words. We were, you know, we got to be such good friends before we fell in love, and he's just been my best friend really ever since. But he's a wonderful father, and just, you know, he's everything to me.